All right, it is our circle time. So when we look at circles, there are some key things that you need to know here. Okay, radius, diameter. Now, when you have a circle like this one, I'll draw it here a little bit bigger. Here's our circle. Okay, we have a center. Now, anywhere from your center to an end point is called the radius. All right, so this is my radius. I'm going to use R for radius. The diameter goes through the center and it goes from end point to end point. Okay, that will be D for diameter. Okay, as you can see, the radius is not the whole length of the diameter, instead it's half of it. So that is the formula that you want to remember. The radius equals 1/2 your diameter, or your diameter equals 2 times your radius. Again, radius equals your diameter divided by 2, or the diameter equals 2 times your radius. All right, and that means I give you a circle and I tell you your radius is 4, your diameter is 8, because what's 2 times 4? 8. Okay. If I go like this and I tell you that this is 7, can you find your radius? Absolutely. That's your diameter, so you plug it into this formula. You would just do 7 divided by 2. That would be 3.5. Okay, so that's the main thing between that radius and diameter. You need to understand that, because sometimes they're going to ask you to find the area, and when they ask you to find the area, you're going to have to use the radius. Okay, if they ask you to find the circumference, you have 2 options there. You could use your radius or diameter. Okay, so area of a circle is pi r squared. Again, say they wanted you to find the area of a circle and they gave you the diameter of 7. Okay, so to find the area, we want to do pi r squared. Well, 7's the diameter, so your radius equals the diameter of 7 divided by 2, just like we talked about. So your radius is 3.5. Take that radius and you plug it on in here into your formula. So you would do pi times 3.5 squared. Okay, now if you have a scientific calculator, you can absolutely use that. If you don't, pi is 3.14. Okay, and you can use that in your calculator. So if we do that, if I do 3.5 squared, that's going to give me 12.25. And then I'm going to multiply that by 3.14. Okay, and that will give me a number that I'm going to have to round to the hundredths place. So it's 38.465. That 5 tells me to go up. 38.47 units squared for the area. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. They give you the radius or the diameter. If they give you the radius, awesome, you plug it right on in. Okay, so I'll show you an example where they give you the radius. Okay, it could look like this, or they could just tell you flat out the radius is 4 inches. We'll use inches. Okay, so again, area equals pi r squared. What am I going to plug in for my r? The 4. So I am going to do pi times 4 squared. What's 4 squared? 16. So you have 2 options here. You can put your answer in that little box in that Khan Academy exercise as 16 pi, or if you want to, type in 3.14, you can. 16 times 3.14, which will give you 50.24 inches squared. Either answer is acceptable because they are both the same thing. Okay, so if they give you the radius, plug it in. If they give you the diameter, solve for your radius and then plug it in. A third option here is they could actually give you the circumference and then want you to find the area. Okay, So if they give you the circumference, they don't have to mark anything in this circle. Instead, what they can do is say, see circumference, okay? And then they can give you the actual answer, and they're probably going to do this with a decimal. So if they give you that answer as a decimal, then what I want you to do is put your actual answer as a decimal too. So if the circumference equals, let's say 25.12 inches, and then they ask you to find the area. Circumference of a circle, that's found by either 2 pi r or diameter times pi. If we want to find the area, which is pi r squared, I'm going to use that circumference formula that involves an r. Okay, so I want to use this formula, circumference equals 2 pi r. So I can plug that in. I know that my 2 pi r equals 25.12. Because remember, when two things are the same, you can set them equal to solve. So that's why you can plug these two equations in together for C. Okay. So we want to get our r. Here's the r, which means we need to get rid of the 2 pi. They're attached by multiplication, so you have to do the opposite. The opposite of multiplying would be dividing. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. So I am going to divide each side by 2 pi, which means I'm going to divide it by 2, and then I'm going to divide it by 3.14. Okay? And that will give me my radius equaling 4. So plug that in here. Okay. 4 squared times my pi. Remember, 4 squared is 16. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 16 times pi times 3.14, and that gives me 50.24. That's my area here. Okay, so let's try another one. Right. Let's say that the circumference is going to be, here it is. Circumference equals 47.1, and you need to find the area. So you need to solve for your radius, your r. Okay? So again, circumference is 2 pi r. So we set 2 pi r equal to 47.1. Next step, if you need to do it step by step, that's fine. Step 1, divide by 2. See how these 2's cancel? Leaving you with pi times your radius. If you do 47.1 divided by 2, well, that's going to give you 23.55. Okay? And then the next thing you're going to do is divide by pi, or in your calculator, as you would put it, 3.14. Okay, which these are the same. So by pi, 23.55 divided by 3.14 is going to give you a radius of 7.5. Don't stop there. That's not your answer. Okay, we're finding the area here. So remember, to find your area, do pi r squared. So my area is going to be pi times 7.5 squared. Okay, remember 7.5 times 7.5 will give you that 7.5 squared. That will give you 56.25. Then multiply that by 3.14, and it gives you 176.625. If I ask you to round to the hundredths, that's where that 2 is. That 5 tells you to round up. So your answer is 176.63. Okay. That's how you're going to find the area of a circle. Let's switch over to circumference. Okay. So for the circumference, very similar. Okay. You know, they're either going to ask you to find the circumference and give you the radius or the diameter, or they're going to ask you to work backwards. They're going to give you the circumference and you need to find the radius or the diameter. So the two formulas you're going to remember, circumference equals 2 pi r or circumference equals your diameter times the pi. So depending on what the question is, depends on what formula you want to use. If they tell you that your radius is 3, which formula should we use? This one, right? Because that has the r in there. You just plug it right on in. 2 pi times 3. That would be your circumference. So if you do that, 2 pi times 3, well, 2 times 3 will give you 6, and you just attach your pi in your answer. Or you multiply that pi by 3.14, and it gives you 18.84. Okay. Maybe they give you a picture that looks like this. Well, my friends, they've given you the diameter in this picture. So if they give you the diameter, you're going to use this formula right here with d, because that's what d stands for a circle. So you're just going to do diameter times pi, which is 10 times pi. 10 times pi is 31.4. And you're done. Those are the best case situations because you just plug it right on in that formula. Okay, so make sure you write down those formulas or you pull up that picture when you're doing these exercises. The last bit could be the reverse. Okay, so you still want to, think of those two formulas that we talked about, and then you want to decide which one to use. Okay, because I'm going to ask you to work backwards here. So I could say that the circumference of a circle is 28.26, and then find the diameter. So if you're going to find the diameter, you're going to use this formula right here. Okay, so this part, that goes in for your C now. Okay, so you're just going to do 28.26 equals diameter times pi. Then to get your diameter alone, well, pi is attached to it, so you have to divide each side by pi. But by pi, okay, so 28.26 divided by 3.14, which is 9. So your diameter ends up being 9 in that one. Okay, so take a look there. All right, hopefully that one's nicer for us. Possibly, right? Okay, let's say, as you're looking at that one, give you the circumference here of 34.54, and I ask you to find the radius. Which formula do you want to use? I'm going to give you a moment to set it up, and then I'm going to show you how you should have set it up. Okay. Again, circumference was 34.54. Find the radius. So if I'm going to do that, did you set it up, or in your mind at least, like the following? 2 pi r equals 34.54. Okay, because we want to find the radius, so it's easier this way. Here's r. Let's get rid of it. Divide each side by 2. 34.54 divided by 2. 17.27. But look, I'm still left with pi r. So what's pi? 3.14. So when you do 17.27 divided by 3.14, you get 5.5 as my radius. Okay, and that's what you're going to want to do for the circumferences. Either plug it in or figure out which formula you want to use. Okay. The very last bit involves a mixture of circles and other shapes. Okay, so when they say to find the shaded region, you are going to find the area of the big and subtract the small. That's how it always works. Okay, so if I give you, I'm going to do just a couple examples of these, okay? And in the pictures, hopefully it'll be obvious what each one is. Okay, let's do 5 and 2. Okay. My shaded part here is going to be this green, and my green marker, unfortunately, is running out of some ink. Okay. So this is the problem that I have. Okay. Now, I have a circle and a rectangle. The bigger one is the circle. The smaller shape is the rectangle. And it's also like the one inside it you're subtracting out. So in this situation, I'm going to find the area of a circle. Okay, so I do the area of a circle minus the area of a rectangle. How do you find the area of a circle? Well, I need to do pi r squared. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Base times height. Those are the two formulas that I'm going to use. Okay? And you have to use your pi here, so you're going to round it to that hundredths place, which is 2 decimals. So for my circle, the radius here, see how this is the center because it's got that point in the middle? So that's my radius, which is the 6. So this goes in for my r. So I'm going to do pi times 6 squared minus base times height. Base and height, or vice versa. So minus 2 times 5. Okay, so 6 squared, 36, times my pi, which is 3.14. 113.04 minus 2 times 5, which is 10. So when I do 113.04 minus 10, gives me 103.04 as my answer. Okay, so that's this situation. Let's look at the reverse now. Let's say I give you, if it's reverse, it's either going to be like a rectangle, or I could do a square to mix it up. Okay, so I can have a square, and then inside of it, I'll have a circle. Let's do. Okay. All right. So there we go. We have a square and a circle. Again, we are going to do the bigger shape, find that area, and then you're going to subtract the smaller one. So how do you find the area of a square? Side squared minus the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. Do you have all the information that you need? You do. Absolutely you do. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that square, which each side is 12. I'm going to do 12 squared. 12 times 12, which is 144. Okay, minus pi r squared. Pi, my radius, which is 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 3.14 will give me 50.24. Okay, so 144 minus 50.24, that's the answer of the shaded region, which is 93.76 units squared. That is how you solve that question. Okay, let's take a look at our last one here now, and I'm just going to do 2 circles. Okay, so we have circles here, and again we want to find the area of the shaded region. Looks like a donut. Okay, so we need to find the area of the big circle first, and then subtract the small circle out of it. Okay, so if we're going to do that, area of circle minus circle, which again, they're both pi r squared. Okay, so that's what you're plugging in here. So the radius of the big circle, notice here is the center right here. My big radius is 10 because it's the bigger one. So when I plug that in, I have pi times 10 squared minus pi times the small one, which is 3. 3 squared. Okay, so if I do that, my 10 squared is 100. Okay, when I do 100 times 3.14, I get 314. Okay, and then I'm going to do, my 9 times 3.14, which will give me 28.26. Okay, so 3.1, or pi is 3.14, don't forget that. When I subtract 314 minus 28.26, get 285.74 centimeters squared for that shaded region. All right. Okay, so remember those areas. Okay, the formula is very important. If you're having any problems with understanding like where each piece goes, please let me know. Write it on that discussion board so I know what we need to go over on Thursday and Friday. All right. Thanks for watching, and I hope that we feel better about this. If not, let's get all those questions answered before you do these exercises. Or try the exercises first. Write down the problems that you're having, any issues with, so we can go over them together. All right. Bye.